everyone. Today, I will be discussing two major forces that shape modern society, urbanization and industrialization. These two processes greatly influence how people live, work, and interact in today's world. In this report, I will explain how they develop, what changes they bring, and the challenges and opportunities that come with them. So, I'll present the ideas in a simple and understandable way para mas makita natin kung paano nila naapektuhan ang ating daily lives. Number three, remember it is a continuation of community forces na nai-report ni Adas Redentor, while ang continuation is the urbanization and industrialization. So the number three is urbanization. This refers to the growing presence of urban lifestyle, behaviors, and cultural values in rural and small town settings, mirroring those typically found in larger cities. Perspective on urban culture. So urbanization ay yung proseso kung saan ang mga tao mula sa rural areas, probinsya o malalayong lugar ay lumilipat papunta sa mga lungsod. Habang dumadami ang populasyon sa city is nagiging mas mabilis ang pagdevelop ng mga buildings, businesses, transportation at iba pang services. So, ang urbanization is parang natural na parte ng pag-unlad ng isang bansa. Mas maraming opportunities sa trabaho, edukasyon at modernong facilities. Kaya, nahihila ang mga tao papunta sa urban areas. Pero kapalit nito, pwede rin magkaroon ng problems tulad ng traffic, pollution, overcrowding at kakulangan ng housing. Sa madaling salita, urbanization ay paglipat ng tao at pag-usbong ng city life na may both positive at negative effect. So, here are the implication of urbanization. So, number one is reduce the unit cost of welfare services. So, kapag nagkakaroon ng urbanization, is mas nagiging concentrated ang population sa isang lugar. Kaya, mas madali at mas mura para sa gobyerno at private organizations ang mag-provide ng welfare services tulad ng healthcare, education, transportation at social assistance. So, mas nababawasan ang gastos kada tao dahil isang facility o system ay kayang maglingkod sa mas maraming tao ng sabay-sabay. Halimbawa, isang malaking hospital sa city ay mas cost efficient kumpara sa pagpapatayo ng maraming maliliit na clinic sa iba't ibang rural areas. Sa madaling salita, dahil nagtitipon-tipon ang mga tao, ang pag-deliver ng services ay nagiging mas practical at mas mababa ang gastos per person. Number 2 is encourage the speed of innovation. Sa urban areas is mas mabilis kumalat ang mga bagong ideas, teknolohiya at paraan ng paggawa ng mga bagay dahil mas maraming professionals, businesses at institutions na magkakalapit. So, ang urbanization ay parang magnet ng creativity at innovation. Dahil dito is nagtatakbo ang mga iba't ibang klase ng tao, industriya at resources. So, dahil dito is mas mabilis ma-develop ang bagong solutions sa problema tulad ng transportation, communication, health, business at iba pa. At dahil concentrated ang populasyon, is mas madali ma-test, ma-implement at ma-adapt ang mga innovation. In short, city environment create a space kung saan mas mabilis matuto, magtulungan at mag-produce ng modern ideas. Number 3 is generate external economies and economies of scale. Urbanization create an environment kung saan mas nagiging efficient ang production at distribution dahil maraming businesses at services ang nag-ooperate sa isang lugar. So, ang ibig sabihin nito ay nagkakaroon ng external economies tulad ng mas mabilis na access sa suppliers, skilled workers, transportation system at communication networks. Dahil dito is bumababa ang overall production cost at tumataas ang output na tinatawag na economies of scale. Halimbawa, mas mura para sa isang factory mag-operate sa city dahil malapit ang raw materials, workers at customers. Sa madaling salita, Ang urbanization ay nagpo-promote ng mas efficient at mas cost-effective na economic activities. Number 4 is facilitates modernization. So, urbanization ay malaking factor sa pag-shift ng isang society papunta sa mas modern at advanced na paraan ng pamumuhay. So, dahil sa presence ng technology, infrastructure, education at access sa global information, is mas mabilis ang paglabas ng modern lifestyle at modern system sa cities. Dito nabubuo ang modern industries, digital businesses, improved transportation at updated services. At dahil maraming tao ang nakatira sa urban areas, is mas nagiging normal at accessible ang modern practices tulad ng online work, modern healthcare, smart transportation at iba pa. In short, urbanization pushes society to adopt new tools, new mindsets, at mas advanced na paraan ng pagtatrabaho at pamumuhay. Number 5 is progressive regional equalization as economy reaches maturity. So habang nagiging mas mature ang economy ng isang bansa, ang urbanization ay tumutulong para maging mas balanced ang development sa iba't ibang regions. So ibig sabihin nito is habang lumalago ang major cities is kumakalat din ang economic benefits papunta sa nearby province at regions. So nagkakaroon ng mas maraming trabaho, investment, connectivity at infrastructure na hindi lang nakapokus sa isang lugar. So unti-unting bumababa ang gap sa pagitan ng highly developed cities at underdeveloped rural areas. Sa madaling salita, urbanization can lead to fairer distribution of opportunities. So, mas maraming lugar ang umaangat at hindi lang iisang city ang nakakaramdam ng progress. So, here are the 3 demographic characteristics of cities. So, number 1 is number. Yung number is refers sa bilang ng mga tao na nakatira sa isang lungsod. Sa urban areas, usually, mataas ang populasyon dahil maraming tao ang lumilipat mula sa rural places para maghanap ng trabaho, edukasyon at mas magandang opportunities. So, mahalagang karakteristik ito kasi nagpapakita kung gaano kalaki ang demand sa services tulad ng housing, transportation, healthcare at utilities. So, the higher the population number, the more complex ang needs ng city. Pero malaking advantage din ito dahil mas maraming workers, consumers at talent na available. Kaya mas mabilis ang economic activities. In short, ang number ng population ay indicator ng growth, challenges at potential ng isang lungsod. Number 2 is a population density. Population density naman ay tumutukoy sa kung gaano karaming tao ang nakatira sa isang area. So, usually measure as people per square kilometer sa cities. So, per square kilometer. So, sa cities is natural na mataas ang density dahil limited ang space, pero sobrang dami ng tao. So, mahalaga itong karakteristik kasi malaki ang epekto nito sa lifestyle ng mga tao. Kasi kapag mataas ang density, is mas nagiging crowded, mas traffic, mas mabilis maubos ang resources, at mas challenging ang housing. Pero, may advantage din. Mas accessible ang schools, hospitals, malls, jobs, at public transportation dahil magkakalapit lang sila. So sa madaling salita, ang population density shapes the daily experience of city life, both positive and negative. Then number 3 is heterogeneity of people. So heterogeneity means diversity o pagiging iba-iba ng mga tao sa isang lungsod. Sa urban areas, madalas nagtatakbo ang individuals na may iba't ibang kultura, wika, trabaho, lifestyle, relihiyon at socio-economic backgrounds. So, Malaking strength ito ng cities dahil nagkakaroon ng exchange of ideas, creativity at opportunities na nagmumula sa diversity ng tao. So, nakakatulong ito sa innovation, business, growth at cultural development. So, pero may challenges din tulad ng misunderstanding, competition, at social inequality. In short, heterogeneity is makes cities vibrant, dynamics and full of opportunities. Pero kailangan din ng inclusive policies para maging harmonious ang iba't ibang grupo. So next is the characteristic of urban social relations. Number one is superficial. So ang social relationship sa urban areas ay madalas superficial dahil marami kang nakakasalamuha pero hindi ganoon kalalim ang koneksyon. So, nangyayari ito dahil mabilis ang takbo ng buhay sa city at everyone is busy with work, studies, or daily routines. Kaya, kahit araw-araw kang may nakikita o nakakasabay, hindi ibig sabihin na close kayo. Interaction are often short, formal, and limited to what is necessary. Like small talk sa office, quick conversation sa store, o polite greetings sa neighbors. Dahil dito, relationship in cities tend to be functional rather than emotional. Hindi naman ito purely negative, practical siya, pero kulang sa warmth at sincerity. Then, number 2 is anonymous. Cities create a sense of anonymity because sobrang daming tao at halos lahat is strangers, kumbaga hindi sila magkakakilala. So, ang anonymity ay nagbibigay ng freedom dahil hindi ka madaling kilalanin o i-judge ng mga tao. Kasi you can live the way you want without everyone knowing your personal life. Pero may downside din dahil walang strong personal ties, madaling makaramdam ng isolation o loneliness, people can blend into the crowd, and sometimes nagiging indifferent sila sa isa't isa. Sa urban settings, nobody really knows you unless intentionally kang makipag-connect. In short, anonymity creates privacy and independence, pero pwedeng magresulta sa emotional disconnection. Number 3 is transitory. Urban relationships are often transitory, meaning temporary o madaling magbago. Ito ay dahil sa people in cities is frequently move, nagpapalit-palit ng trabaho, lumilipat ng bahay, o pumupunta sa iba't ibang lugar para sa better opportunities. Kaya kahit may connections ka, hindi ito laging long term or hindi ito pang matagalan. Common ito sa office, schools, or boarding house, kung saan mabilis magbalik ng environment at ang mga taong kasama mo is kumaga lumilipat sila, umaalis, and nagkakaroon ka ng new environment. Kumbaga, yung mga taong nakapalit sa kanya is parang nahihirapan kang mag-approach sa kanila kasi yun transitory. So transitory is relations can be practical and efficient, pero nawawala yung sense of long-term emotional support. Sa city life, people come and go, kaya relationships are often flexible but unstable. Mahirap mag-build ng deep and lasting bonds. Number 4 is overload. Social overload happens when people in the city face too much information, interactions, noise, and activities. So, dahil sa sobrang dami ng tao at ganap sa paligid, traffic, work pressure, crowds, advertisement is nagiging heavy ang mental and emotional load. Dahil dito is nagde-develop ang urban residents ng coping mechanism like ignoring strangers, limiting interactions, or focusing only on essential. These contribute to the cold or distant behavior often seen in cities, not dahil masama ang tao, kundi dahil overloaded sila sa stimuli. Urban overload can reduce quality of life and affect mental well-being, kaya importante ang time management, personal space at quiet environment para bumawi or magawa natin ng mabuti yung bawat activities or trabaho na meron tayo. So next is adaptive response to overload. So A is allocation of place time to each input. So kapag overloaded ang isang tao, natural na nag-a-allocate siya ng mas maikling oras sa bawat task or interaction para lang ma-survive ang dami ng kailangan gawin. So ito yung strategy na bilisan at bawasan ang oras para sa bawat input para ma-process kahit papaano. Halimbawa, mas mabilis na sagot sa message, shorter conversations, o mabilisang decisions making. This helps the system avoid full breakdown, pero nagiging superficial ang quality ng outputs. Sa madaling salita, mas konting oras per task para lang kayanin ang dami ng demands o dami ng trabaho. Then, number 2 is disregard low priority inputs. So, isa pang coping mechanism ay yung pag-ignore ng low priority tasks or interactions. So, ito ay pag-set ng boundaries dahil hindi lahat dapat pagbigyan. Halimbawa, i-ignore ang notifications, hindi agad sasagot sa non-urgent message, o hindi uunahin ang task na hindi naman critical. This helps individual focus on what truly matters. Sa urban settings kung saan sobrang daming stimuli, kailangan talagang mapili kung ano ang bibigyan ng atensyon at ano ang consciously i-ignore para manatiling functional. Then, letter C is redrawing boundaries to shift burden. So, kapag sobrang overloaded, people or system redraw boundaries para ipasa ang ibang task sa ibang tao or institusyon. So, ito yung delegation or shared responsibility. Halimbawa, sa pamilya, kung dating isang tao ang gumagawa ng lahat, pwede nang hati-hatiin ang task. Sa workplaces, nagde-delegate sa co-workers o nagre-request ng support. This helps prevent burnout and makes the system more balanced. Boundaries are adjusted, so the burden does not fall only one person. So yun, hindi lang po isang tao ang nakakagawa ng isang task if ever na yung task na yun is parang hindi na niya kaya. Kumbaga, nandoon yung salitang unity or nagtutulungan sila para ma-survive nila or magawa nila yung work nila ng mabuti. Then, letter D is blocking reception before entrance. Then, meaning, blocking receptions means hindi na pinapapasok ang inputs bago pa makarating sa person or system. Para ito yung mga moments na sinasadya mong hindi tumanggap ng bagong task, calls or responsibility dahil puno ka na or marami ng task na naibigay sa iyo. Then ang halimbawa nito is turning off your phone, setting do not disturb, avoiding crowded place, o sabihin na sorry, hindi ko kayang tumanggap ng bago ngayon. Kumbaga, if ever na yung boss mo is magbibigay siya ng new task or bagong trabaho which is overloaded ka, is yun yung sinasabi mo. Kumbaga, hindi mo na kayang i-balance yung time mo para tapusin yung works mo. Kaya, hindi mo yun siya tinatanggap. So, this protects mental energy and reduces unnecessary stress. Then, letter E is filtering devices to reduce intensity. So, filtering devices lessen the intensity of stimuli so that only weak surface level interactions are allowed. Ito yung pag-limit ng emotional involvement, mas controlled na communication or paggamit ng structure na nagpapadali ng task. Halimbawa, automated messaging, quick replies, or routines that prevent emotional overload. people become selective and less emotional attached para hindi sila madread. So this protects mental stability in a busy environment. So yun. Letter A is specialized institutions to absorb inputs. So kapag marami ng inputs or there's too much na ang demands, society creates institution para sila ang mag-handle ng overload para sa workers. So ito yung hospitals, social services, schools, barangay centers, garbage collection system, at iba pang agencies. Imbis na individual ang mag-process ng problems, institutions absorb the work. So, ang halimbawa nito, imbis na bawat tao ang mag-handle ng health emergencies, may hospitals, imbis na parents lahat ang magturo, may schools, institution help reduce stress on individuals. So, number 4 is industrialization. So, this is defined as a state of socio-technological development or a movement towards such a stage characterized particularly by assembly line mass production, large factories employing extensive power-driven machinery, and a specialized workforce with a finely root division of labor. It is also characterized by urbanization and a highly mechanized method of communication and transportation. So, ang industrialization is a major state of social and technological development. So, ito yung panahon kung saan ang production ay nagiging mass-produced gamit ang machines, large factories at assembly lines, nagiging specialized ang workforce, each person may specific task. Kasabay nito, lumalago ang cities, technology, transportation, at communication. Industrialization changes society from manual agricultural work toward machine-based production. So, dahil dito is mas maraming goods ang napoproduce, mas mabilis ang trabaho at mas modern ang lifestyle. Pero, nagdudulot din ito ng problems tulad ng pollution at congestion. Overall, industrialization transformed daily life in major ways. So, ito yung mga associated social problems ng industrialization. Number 1 is pollution. Pollutions become a major issue in industrialized societies dahil sa factories, vehicle, waste at chemicals. So ito yung pinaka-kitang-kitang downside ng industrialization. Dumadami ang smoke, toxic waste, polluted water at dirty air. These affect health, environment, and everyday life. So people experience respiratory problems, contaminated food and water, at degradation ng natural resources. Pollution weakens quality of life kahit nagbibigay sila ng economic progress. So number 2 is congestion. So congestion refers to crowded space, traffic jams. Congestion refers to crowded space, traffic jams, overcrowded transportation, at siksikang living condition. So, ito yung resulta ng sobrang daming tao sa limited space dahil sa urbanization at industrialization. Workers crowded cities for jobs, leading to cramped housing, full buses, long travel times, and stressful environment. Congestion makes daily living harder and reduces efficiency. Kahit may progress, is nagiging inconvenient ang everyday routine. Number 3 is resource depletion. Industrialization leads to heavy use of natural resources, water, land, mineral, fuel. So, ito yung mabilis na pagkaubos ng mga likas na yaman or likas yaman dahil sa mass production. Factories need raw materials, energy, at land. kaya nasisira ang forest, naubos ang minerals at lumulobo ang energy consumption. So this threatens long-term sustainability and harm future generations. Kapalit ng industrial growth ay environmental damage. Number 4 is land speculation. Land speculations happens when investors buy land not to use it but to wait for prices to rise. Para sa parang ito yung nagdudulot ng housing problems because land becomes expensive and out of reach for ordinary people. Industrialization attracts businesses which raises land value. Dahil dito, mas umiiksi ang supply ng affordable housing at nagiging mas crowded ang communities. This increase inequality and disrupts urban planning. Number 5 is subsistence level of living. Despite industrialization progress, many urban poor remain stuck in subsistence living, earning enough only for basic needs. So, ito yung irony na kahit modern ang society, is marami pa ring hindi umaangat. Low-skilled workers receive small wage, cost of living goes up, at competition increases. People survive day-to-day without savings or security. Industrialization does not equally benefit everyone. So, number 6 is overemployment or agricultural stagnation. Industrialization pulls people away from farms and rural industries. So, nangyayari yung agricultural stagnation dahil marami ang lumilipat sa city, leaving the agricultural sector underdeveloped. So, this creates overemployment in cities. Sobrang daming workers for limited jobs habang kulang naman ang labor sa farming. This disrupt foods production and increase poverty in rural areas. So ito po yung mga solution offer kapag po tayo ay nakaka-experience ng mga nabanggit nating problema. So number 1 is new spatial arrangement. Ang new spatial arrangement means better planning of where people live, work, and travel. So, goal nito ay bawasan ang congestion at traffic by designing cities more efficiently. Halimbawa, tuning, creating satellite towns, improving public transport, at decentralizing industries. When people live closer to work or transport hubs, travel time decreases and quality of life improves. Number 2 is better health services within economic distance. So these solutions means bringing health care closer to rural and urban poor communities. So it's about creating affordable, reachable clinics managed by trained paramedics. Hindi lahat kailangan hospital. Simple health issue can be addressed in community health centers. This reduces mortality, improves productivity, and lessens pressure on big hospitals. Number 3 is education system that teaches new ideas and skills. Education becomes essential for adapting to industrial society. So, kailangan turuan ang tao ng updated skills para maging productive, especially in agriculture, modern farming techniques, technology use, and problem-solving skills. Help rural worker increase output. Education support long-term development and reduce poverty by empowering people with knowledge. The next is patterns of communities. So meron po tayong anim na patterns of communities. So number 1 is natural organization. So, ang natural organization ay tumutukoy sa paraan kung paano nabubuo ang isang komunidad ng kusa o organic, hindi dahil sa batas, opisyal na dokumento o formal na plano. Karaniwang ito'y nagsisimula dahil sa shared needs, shared interests at shared spaces ng mga tao. So, halimbawa, mga magkakapit-bahay na nagkakaisa dahil sa daily interaction at mutual support is nabubuo ang community dahil sa natural na ugnayan at hindi dahil inutusan o pinlano yung paggawa ng isang community. Then, number 2 is permanence. Ang permanence ay nagsasaad na kahit may nagbabago sa komunidad tulad ng mga leader, mga proyekto o mga miyembro, mananatili pa rin ang core identity, kultura at bonding ng group. So, stable ang community dahil may shared history, shared experiences at shared values. Kahit mag-evolve ang structure o activities, hindi basta nawawala ang sense of belonging at continuity. Number 3 is internal and external relations. Ito ay tumutukoy sa kakayahan ng komunidad na i-manage ang internal needs nila tulad ng rules, cooperation at support system. So, habang nakikipag-ugnayan din sila sa external environment tulad ng local government, nearby communities o organization, is kailangan nilang balansehin ang internal harmony at external connections para maging functional at sustainable ang grupo. Kung maayos, mas nagiging resilient ang community. So, number 4 is diversity. Ang diversity ay mahalaga sa healthy community dahil nagdadala ito ng iba't ibang pananaw, skills, kultura at personalidad. Mas nagiging dynamic, creative at open-minded ang grupo kapag iba-iba ang backgrounds ng mga miyembro. Sa ganitong setup, mas madaling makahanap ng bagong ideya, solusyon sa problema at mas inclusive na environment. Nakakatulong ito para lahat ay represented at valued. So, number 5 is maintenance and governance. Ito ay tumutukoy sa paraan kung paano pinapanatili at pinapamahalaan ang komunidad. Kasama dito ang pag-develop ng new members tulad ng pag-aalaga sa mga bata, pag-welcome ng newcomers at paghubog ng future leaders. Kabilang din ang governance system kung saan may rules, responsibilities at decision-making processes. Kasi kung may maayos na maintenance at governance is nagiging organized, united at long-lasting ang community. Number 6 is participation. Ang participation ay tungkol sa aktibong pakikilahok ng mga miyembro sa activities, decision making at pagbuo ng project ng komunidad. Mas nagiging buhay, inclusive at collaborative ang group kapag lahat ay may boses at ambag. Kapag may participation is lumalakas ang sense of ownership, unity at collective responsibility. Nagiging mas responsive din ang community sa needs ng bawat isa. So, that's all my part po. Thank you so much.